Good evening, everybody. Great to see so many of you promptly on the call tonight.
Look at this. Everyone's on time.
Yes. My name is Natasha Denman, and I have my partner in crime and in life, Stuart Denman, next to me. And we're bringing to you the ultimate 48-hour author inside of you of the July weekend. We've just come back to, 4 days ago?
4 days back, yep.
Amazing. It seems like a lifetime ago now. We had such a fun time. As you can see, the picture here on the screen is that of the authors that joined us there, and Stuart's on the left and I'm there in the middle, and you can see all of those books that are so far part of the big collection that's building from the people that we have helped publish their books. So this was our fourth author, Ultimate 48-Hour Author Weekend. We started doing these October. We had October, Feb, April, July, and now going straight to the 5th, 6th, and there'll be many, many more coming through, and it's so wonderful to see every single person who has done this is a published author.
So, and everyone's still going at 100%, which is just,
yeah.
There's nothing else there that does that, so it's just fantastic. I love it.
So we can't wait to spend this time with you. And we'll tell you a little bit about our history and where it all started and how it got to this point, as well as take you through a little bit of the journey of what unfolded over the weekend, because every weekend this system gets tighter and tighter and more structured, and we get a lot more done. For example, this particular weekend we got everyone's YouTube videos for their book promotions done, and even Lawrence there, our boy author, he got his 3D image of a mock-up done on the weekend, which is something that we normally don't achieve. But yeah, as I say, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So it's wonderful to have you here. I do want to encourage lots of questions. If we need to stay behind, we will stay behind over time, and to make sure that everything's covered off. A little bit later in the call, towards the end, in the last 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to have one of our wonderful participants that was there at the July weekend. That's Christine Turnbull here on the screen. And Jane Newen, who just got her box of books this week, will also join us and give us some insights around their thoughts and feelings around doing this particular program, because you know what? It is a big leap of faith. It is a sort of breathtaking experience, and I can see here we also have been joined with a couple of our next year authors. Fiona Craig's here on the call, and Julie White, who are coming and doing the weekend in February. So it's great to see that the upcoming authors are there. We might actually ask you guys a couple of questions as well, if you don't mind. Can you just type in a quick hello to make sure that we're not talking to ourselves, just in the chat box, and to make sure that you guys can hear and see, obviously, the PowerPoint presentation at your end. Very good. Thanks, Maria. And Maria and I caught up today. So a few people that I've seen lately. Thanks, Fiona.
Oh, Dazzler, thanks, mate.
Hey, Darren. Nice to see you. All right, guys. So a little bit, because there is some new names on the call, and a little bit about our history. We won't go into it too much. As I've said, the most important thing, and what's important for you guys, is to realize that we are now at the 50 book mark in terms of what we've achieved in the last 12 months. And 50 may not sound as like a big number of books, but trust me, a book project is it's an involved process. You know, it's something that comes out really professionally, and there's a lot of care being taken in making them a reality and making sure that we can hold everyone's hand to get there to the end. Isn't that right?
Well, that's the same thing. It's not always just about numbers, but when you sit there, and if you were to look at a bookshelf, like I'm looking up at our shelf in the office here, look at the 50, there's probably 50, that's a heck of a lot of books.
Yeah.
And you know, yes, for us, we see that many there, but for the individual, for the person that's done it, that one book that's the most special thing to them. That's the most special book. The first
book is the most wonderful feeling. Lana's just said, oh dear, I can't hear. It's probably your internet. And everyone else can hear me. So, Lana, we're also recording this call. So if you do miss it, you will get the recording. So it is happening.
Also, but she just said she can't hear, so maybe type it to her.
No, I don't think I can. It doesn't give you that option. All right, so started in business just a bit over 4 years ago, May 2010, and that was the turning point for myself, or the turning point of making just $7,000 in my first 12 months, and then publishing that very first book, which you can see at the bottom left, The 7 Ultimate Secrets to Weight Loss. When that book came out, you guys, within 3 months, I actually had a baby at the same time as the book was coming out, my second child, and literally had to go back into my business, helping people, because the demand was already suddenly out there. And I've had a wonderful journey. As you can see, it becomes addictive. So then you write your second, your third, your fourth book. And also from books, what happens is you develop products. And that's what I have done, is developed over 5 programs, licensed different systems. And that is why you can see the 5 different brands across the top of the slide there that we have. Nowadays, the first 2 years were definitely tough, but nowadays we spend about 3 months out of the year traveling, and big holidays, weekenders. We're off on our 10-year anniversary weekend this weekend with Stuart, and my mum's looking after our kids. You can see there, Judd's actually 5.5 and Mika's 3 now, and we're expecting our 3rd child in about 15 weeks' time. So that's very exciting. So that is a little bit about us. Was nominated a couple of times for Telstra Businesswoman of the Year. I'm passionate about credibility and helping others be more credible and leveraged through product development. And actually, I'm now, from tomorrow, if you guys, those of you that are online, can you please vote for me? I've been nominated for the Osmumpreneur. And there's a thing starting tomorrow, and apparently need to get lots of votes happening to be considered as one of the finalists. So that's going to be a whole little campaign we're going to run. Awesome. So why the hell would you want to become an author? What do you reckon, Stuart?
Look, it's, to me, the way I describe it to people that are asking, there's so much noise, there's so much options, there's so many different people doing the same or similar stuff today, and it's always probably been the same amount, but you see it more because the social media explosion has really shown how you can put yourself out there a lot more. But how do you compete amongst the noise, and how do you compete amongst everyone else that's competing for, the dollar, that client that's doing it? So I often say, and the first question I ask people is, if you had 2 people standing in front of you that you were going to decide who you were going to spend your hard-earned money with to help you with your problem, one of them standing there and, they seem as though you get on well with them. They seem as though they've told you that they can solve their problem, but there's not really any proof. You're just going on, I guess, the gut feeling of what you're going to get from that person. The other person standing there, and they've been published in a magazine. You've already seen they've been able to refer you to the article that they had published. And not only that, they actually just told you about the book that they've written, the book that they've just done. Now, I don't think there's been a person yet that said, well, I would choose just the other person. It always leads up to the person that's got what is the assumed credibility. And the book, though, is that's just the credibility hit that really differentiates yourself from the other people. So the credibility, as you've got there, being seen as the expert,
yep,
they're the 2 things that to me just really stand out very strongly.
And big things that evolve once people do have their books is the opportunities, like the foot in the door into places, being considered for publicity a lot easier, being considered for speaking opportunities. These are some of the things that are very important for people in service-based businesses, especially a lot of the majority of our clients end up being from the personal development and coaching field, as well as health and wellness, so practitioners and other entrepreneurs. So those that want to position themselves as a key person of influence. As you can see here, a little picture of Lawrence's mock-up cover. That's not going to be his final cover, but we ended up getting that done during the weekend.
And that was done in about 8 hours
in
for
about
$5.
8 hours for about $5, and he was so proud to have seen that. And I've put up actually a lot of videos on that event page on Facebook, because I knew I couldn't share the videos with you tonight because this particular program tends to play them very slow and they won't appear as good at your end. So if you do want to look at a lot of the videos of the montage and the feedback from the authors, please go onto that event page and scroll through all the posts, and everything's been uploaded there. But you do grow personally. One of the biggest differences that I see in people is how much they change, and oftentimes by telling their story or delivering their topics and their system and how they can help others, they get it out of their head down on paper or down on a recording as we do it. Because for those of you that are not aware, it's how the hell do we get it done in 48 hours? We actually don't slave away at a computer. I give people a system and a template around how to unpack all of their chapters, and then and certainly unpack a sexy book, and then they actually speak it out and we get it all transcribed for them. So you do grow a lot in confidence, a lot in self-worth, and some of the quietest little people that have been around, they walk around so proud by the end of it. And some of the feedback on day one was, I can't believe how easy this is, and I was stressing and feeling like I wanted to throw up all week leading up to it. And as we said, you end up with a tangible product. A tangible product is something that is so powerful in a service-based industry, something that people can hold on to, and it does really truly remove that buyer's remorse. And I often have my clients say, oh, I'm so happy for you to be my coach. Or I often say to people, my coach is an author. If you have heard that a lot of people are writing books, I don't want you to be put off by that, because it's not true. Okay, in 4 years of me networking twice a week, I'm a very avid networker, and Stuart, you've been doing it for the last 18 months. How many authors have you met?
I would count on my hands.
I've met one. Yeah. So you have actually met a few more than me.
Maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I've met one in 4 years of networking twice a week. That has got up and shown their book. So if you hear people saying it, they're saying it and probably have been doing it for 10 years. We're not interested in a 10-year project. We want to execute a book all up within 4 to 6 months from start to finish for people. Now let's talk about a little bit about why the weekend and what makes it so different. And, you know, why couldn't you just go away and lock yourself away in a cabin and do it yourself? One of the biggest insights that I've actually had over the last 2 or 3 months, and actually was made really evident to me by our latest mentor that we've been working with, is the power of the mastermind. Okay, being in a group of people who are doing the same thing, it's really energetically how you get motivated, pushed, and you're sharing that same experience and bonding. By the end of 48 hours, which feels like a week, or while you're away, you truly have developed lifelong friendships, but you have executed the work, and you keep asking, where are you up to? Have you done this many chapters? Have you done that many? And you learn through a process of around all of the things that you need to then actually action beyond your book. I believe the book is 25% of the journey, and that 75% also will be the things that you will get educated on around your marketing, around your publicity, around your leverage through other products. It is a focus away from distractions. We had a lady who has a special needs daughter, and she hired a full-time carer for her daughter to make this happen. She made a decision about March this year, and she got there, and her house keys got misplaced, but she was very prepared and had a backup set in the yard somewhere, and she made it happen. It is, we've had people with some other serious health concerns on the weekend, but it's been all that important to them that they have made it happen.
Breastfeeding mothers?
Every single weekend we have had a breastfeeding mum, aside from this weekend, actually. We had one in October, we had one in April, we had one in Feb, all of them with babies ranging from 3 months to 7 months old. So there's absolutely hasn't been an excuse from anyone to make this happen if they've been passionate about sharing their message and actually doing it for their business growth. You are creative in beautiful surroundings. The house that we had was the best out of the lot for this particular July weekend. As you can see some of the pictures of our common room area, we had a real fire. Was it?
Open fireplace.
Open fireplace. We had the house just kept going on and on and on and on forever. You're taken care of in every aspect. So people are usually that we got messages after the weekend on the Sunday night saying, oh, where's Stuart to have cooked us some dinner, because everyone just gets to eat healthy, wholesome food that keeps their energy levels up. And every time there's a break, there's drinks being offered, and it's the homely experience that that usually every single woman wants to take my husband home after that weekend, isn't that right? Accountability. We have a lot of accountability around this because we are only interested in 100% success. So with that in mind, you're ensured that you will have your book. There's no doubt around any of this that people who take the leap in doing this that are going to become, like, I won't have it any other way. We talked about community and then the mentoring as you go along, whether it's at the weekend or outside of the weekend, beforehand and afterwards, to make sure that all your questions are answered if you're stuck in any way.
Yeah, to me, look, the value is just, it's so high. I had after the meals and after we have our sort of time as a group, or as, you separate off and you just have the conversations with whoever. I had one of the ladies there that actually was literally sitting there going, this conversation just could have been $1 million conversation, and I would never have been exposed to this unless I'd made the commitment to come.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the power of, as you said earlier on, that mastermind, and just having access to brains that you'd never get to meet unless you're actually doing it with a group.
I can see here Andrea has also joined us. Andrea is coming to October, so a lot of our authors to be are like keen to have, take a sneak peek into what just happened. So it's great to see some of you guys on the call. Gosh, there's so much more of you than I thought were actually going to come on the call. So it's wonderful to see. So guys, we want to give you a little bit of a few ideas around this weekend and some myths that are around authoring that I believe. So tonight we're going to take you through 3 different sections. We're going to talk about busting the 5 myths around authoring, the 5 common myths. We are going to talk about the 48-hour author blueprint, and then we're going to get that real life view of the weekend from the authors themselves. As I said, we've got someone who just attended the weekend, someone who did it in Feb and has got her books now. And as I said, if you are curious, maybe we'll take one of the girls off mute who are actually coming to October or Feb to give us an insight as to why they took the leap and how they're feeling right now. Because you know what? It's about the feelings. I have found that this whole journey is about managing my author's state the most than actually the execution of the project. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the 2 reasons why people don't take the leap on this journey are none other but fear and procrastination. They're the only 2 reasons people don't do it. It's not about time. It's not about money. It's about those 2 reasons, and that will become evident.
Yeah, that's soon. Premising the people that are wanting to write a book.
Of course,
yes.
Of course, yeah. If you don't want to write a book, of course you're going to make any other excuse.
Of course, that's just not for you.
Yeah, exactly right. But fear and procrastination, it's like that commitment you're going to make to yourself. Am I really going to back myself and do this and execute this project that actually seems to be?
And I guess you can really see that with when we get there. Like we've, over the last now 3 weekends, I introduced something to them. It was on our second weekend, which was about sitting down, and it was, I just loved seeing the responses. All right, guys, so I say, how many of you have sort of told your network and told everybody that you're going to be writing a book? And pretty, crickets.
No one. The crickets.
Correct. So, okay, so you want to stand out, you want to grow your business, why not? And so anyway, we get through that, and then I say, okay, now's the challenge. I want every one of you to announce it to your network that you're actually writing a book, you're actually away doing it at the time. Here's the title, here's the tagline if there is one, what problems are going to solve, who's the market, how excited you are. Go and put it all on your social network. And, oh, my God, some of the responses are like, you can see them start to, like, they're looking everywhere else. You're at one of those events and someone says, who wants to come up and speak? Everyone's just hoping no one looks at them. And then you'll just see others that it just like the penny just drops and they go, why haven't I done this already?
Yes.
And they just go bang and they just get into it and they announce it. and they are overwhelmed with the response that people get from their network, even if they don't have a huge business community or they're still relatively new in what they're doing. The friends and that support them.
Melanie was one particular person at the July weekend.
I don't use Facebook. I'm hardly ever on it. No one will care.
And she sold 63 books at the weekend, 63 books. And every time she'd sell one, you could hear her squeal, "Oh, my God."
And she thought no one would be interested in what she's doing.
Yeah. We had over 90 books sold at the July weekend, just from the couch on Facebook, as well as about 119 at the April weekend, which was smashed it out. Like these guys, and it was a challenge. And actually, this was money in the bank account.
Yes.
People we told them that they have to have money in the bank account and give them others the BSB and the account number so they can get deposited. All right, so let's go through some of the content and go through busting these 5 myths and then taking you through the blueprint and how it unfolds and a little bit of insight around it. So now here are the 5. Number 1 is a lot of people seem to think that they don't have a book in them. And this couldn't be further from the truth. I believe every person probably has a minimum of 3 books in them, and just have a 15-minute conversation with me and you'll realize that you actually have got those 3 books. So it's completely a myth. It's people you're too closely and emotionally involved in your life to actually have a look at the positioning of a content or a topic that you can write about. Oftentimes you may already know the track you want to go down in, but we would be the experts to talk about whether that would be a profitable niche and that would be a profitable angle to take. What do you say to this, Stuart? If people say I don't have a book in, or perhaps even let's handle myth number 3, that I'm not the expert. That's a big one that actually comes up.
It just comes down to you might not be the biggest expert in your niche, but that's not a problem.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing to get over. You only need to be an expert for your target market. For
Correct.
The people that want to do business with you.
Yep.
And you're going to attract more people into your actual niche there. Yep. But like when you wrote that first, the 7 Ultimate Secrets to Weight Loss. Just being honest, who were you?
No one.
But was that important?
I was neither a nutritionist. I was neither a personal trainer. All I was passionate about was sharing mindset and human behavior. And I wrapped it around the niche that I knew people had a problem, that they were willing to spend money to have it solved. Yep. That was the thing and I'd still got to deliver mindset. I still got to talk about the things that I like to talk about, but I sold people what they wanted and gave them what they needed within the content of the book. So
that's definitely the biggest thing. You don't have to compare yourself to people that are coaches or in the personal development sphere. You don't have to be a DeMartini. You don't have to be a Tony Robbins.
Yes.
That's where everyone gets caught up with thinking that they have to be on the same level as to get this written. You don't, because those people are standalone. You're never going to be competing against them. You don't have to.
And they started somewhere, at some stage. Tony Robbins also some while ago wrote his first book, and other people have done it. And same thing as me. Like I'm sitting here 4 years later. I've got 4 books, but each of them have happened one after the other. And so credibility around that is really, really huge. Like it builds everything is a stepping stone to the next thing. Myth number 2, I'm a mum with no time, or it takes years to be published. Really, I've already given you guys a lot of insight around absolutely there's no excuses, because we have had mums pumping away at the weekends and doing this because they're so passionate. I reckon those of you who are mums, and the reason I put this myth out there is because I do attract a lot of mumpreneurs. And the reason I put this out there is because when you become a mum, or if you are already one, you become so much more resourceful and you find out so much more time to get things done. And absolutely doesn't take years to be published. And you will know when I explain the 48-hour author blueprint that it's not much time outside of the actual weekend that you spend executing this project. So time to get yourself out of the way. And if this is important, that is, it's about saying yes to you. So number 4, is I have to be alone to get it done. I couldn't think of anything worse. Being alone. When I started developing this system, it was around when I was writing the book Ninja Couch Marketing, and it was actually that I went away with my partner in that particular brand, Donna, who you can see her name actually on this webinar because we share an account. And Donna and I went away to a beautiful creative space, and we did it together. So we actually, we had so much fun at the same time, but we also knew that we had each other to be held accountable. Because I have also had feedback from people who've tried to go alone and they just can't get into that state to get themselves motivated.
Well, because there's no one driving it. There's no one just like anything, when you go to do something yourself, you can let things get in the way. You prioritize something else, so you think, I can always do it that little bit later. But when you've got the structure there and everyone else is doing the same thing, you feel you want to be part, because one of the strongest things is being a team. It's actually that you more want to support your team and not let your team down than let yourself down. That can be one of the strongest things.
Absolutely. And we've had a comment from Christine here. I'm a mum and just multitasked reading Peppa Pig while starting this webinar. Oh, yeah, I've multitasked a lot of things. I've gotten up earlier. I've stayed up later. And often, so because you want to focus when you don't feel like you're ignoring your children and all that kind of stuff is really important. It is a balancing act, and it does become easier and more structured as you become more effective and you are living a truly balanced lifestyle with business.
Yeah.
The last one is English is not my first language. I wonder why I put this here, because we have actually had two authors, and Jane is one of them. She's,
Hang on. And you.
And me. Oh, yeah, and me. You guys. I forgot about me. Well, yes, I grew up in Macedonia, and I didn't speak a word of English until I was 14. And I moved to this country, and if I can write 4 books and be helping people do the same, of course it's not an excuse, but I forgot about myself. But then we've got Jane, who's going to join us later, who's the one that wrote Honeymoon Forever, and she's Vietnamese, and her English is not her first language. She's still got an accent. However, she's been in the country for about 7 or 8 years, and she got her books this week. And the other person that also got her books a month ago was Valentina Bonardi. Now, Valentina is our most recent resident.
Mm-hmm.
She's only been in Australia 2 or 3 years. She does have a very heavy Italian accent. And you know what? She did it as well. And actually, the publisher who edited her book, she said that they were so amazed with Valentina's quality of work in terms of what she produced and submitted to them, that it took them back. Like, almost those two girls produced one of the highest quality books that we have.
The other thing
seen.
The other one we didn't put down with Myth 5. We actually had someone that was very heavily dyslexic that would never have been able to write their book if it wasn't for this blueprint, because they weren't capable of sitting down and typing it all up.
Yes.
So they've had this book in them for, I think he said 10 or 15, however long he's wanted to do. He's a spiritualist.
Yes.
And the quality and the content that's come out there, because he can just speak his experience and everything that he knows. Whereas if he had to sit down before he found out about this, that there was another way of doing it, it was just an eye-opener. So I think to me, that's totally agree with you about English not being the first language and everything like that. And the classic, I'm not a writer. Yep. That's the other thing. Yep. We all label ourselves, I'm not insert whatever here. So I'm not a speaker. I know I've said that before. I'm not an author.
Yeah.
Whereas it all is, it's whatever you are. It's whatever you want to be. And we don't need to label it. I think putting a label on something is very disruptive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've had someone dyslexic. And what else? And we've got a gold medalist Paralympian coming to the February weekend as well. So we have some amazing people with everything against them. And a lady who's coming to October who's a cancer survivor, and she's writing a book against all odds and all that sort of stuff. So it's really amazing. Jane has just joined us on the call. So Jane, we will speak to you a bit later on. Thank you for coming. Janie. Nice to see you. So let's go through a little bit of the. I do want to spend a bit more time with the authors who are at the different stages. But the 48-hour author blueprint, I'll put this picture out up. It's really easy, and about the pre-work. The pre-work that we do is 2 hours of one-on-one with each of our authors. And in that pre-work, we go through a checklist, and we actually help the person position their book, unpack it, come up with the 60 names. I help them go through an unpack of a chapter so that they know how to unpack the other 11. We do encourage our authors to write 12 chapter books. They can have a bonus chapter. And the reason behind it is for the further product development in future, so that that book turns into a 12-step manual program, so that it turns into 12 workshops you can run, a retreat. I mean, there's so many ways you can leverage the content and duplicate it because it's your own work beyond that. So then once they've done their 2-hour one-on-one, what happens is there is about 10 to 12 hours of pre-work on their part before they attend the weekend. So at the moment, over the next 2 weeks, I am finalizing everyone that's being prepped up for October. Now, certainly there's plenty of time in terms of the October weekend, but I always love to give people at least 6 to 8 weeks to prepare and go through it because they have other commitments in their life. However, realistically, it's only about 10 hours of pre-work on their part. And actually, as I was driving Christine, who's joining us from Hobart, back to the airport the other day, I asked her, Christine, I'm always curious, how long did you actually spend on your pre-work after we did our 2 hours together? And she said, oh, Nat, she goes, 4 hours. And she just kind of laughed. And I said, really? I said, 4 hours? And I said, wow. Now, admittedly, Christine has been in her business for quite a while, and she's an avid speaker. She knew exactly what she wanted to write about, but that was like the smallest amount of prep that I've ever heard. And there's a variety. Some people will spend, say, as minimum as 4 hours, and others up to 15 hours. So that's where I would place it. And when the pre-work is done and the attendance of the weekend occurs, usually the feedback is, oh my God, I was stressing out so much, but now that I've got through my first recording hour, I can see that it's actually so much easier than I imagined. Jane just said, I just sent off my book to you guys today. I can't wait to hold it. Awesome. Okay, so then as the weekend, as you can see here, we have got a couple of pictures of our training room. We had the best training room ever. I had a drop-down projector screen and everything, which is usually a lot more difficult to find in houses. And this is where we spent the time in our educational segments. So at the weekend, there is 7 recording hours where we execute 12 chapters and an introduction and afterword. And then there's the 7 educational segments. Now, what are these educational segments about? Well, they're all about what the hell do you do with your book once you get it? Because it's very important to know how to market it, how to pre-launch it, how to get that publicity so that people actually find out about you.
Well, this is the biggest thing, which it's the point of difference. Like there are some other ones out there that tell you and support you in writing the book, but writing the book is just not the thing. It's what you do afterwards. So yes. That's why I think that these educational segments are worth almost as much as the whole process. Like the blueprint's valuable, but then I think this is just, people just go, holy hell, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, and there's a lot more, like certainly the educational segments do fly by because they're 45-minute to an hour segments. And what I always say to my authors is don't stress too much about what it is that, if you miss things as to what we're covering now, because in the background, you guys, we have everything already video recorded. So whatever you've missed or you haven't picked up or you need to re-listen to, you have a whole community that you have access to for life that we're going to be building a resource library around that you can access later on. And when we showed the people how much recordings and how much education we had behind the scenes, one of the people
said how much extra for
no, they said, do we have to pay for that?
Yeah.
They go, do we get all of that? That was a really interesting question. I go, yeah, didn't you guys know? I said, I covered this off in the package, but obviously, yeah, they saw the enormity of the educational stuff with the marketing. So what are the 7 segments? So there is the speaking success system, because it's very important to know how to get speaking gigs and how to position yourself as a speaker in this market. We have to change this. We've grown and tightened up this weekend. We have changed these segments from certain topics to other topics, which we thought would be much more powerful. We do talk a lot about social media, because as a key person of influence, you must be on social media if you want to get and build your business further. We go through connecting through video and the importance of being in front of the camera, and we get you to do some video at the weekend. And then the next couple of segments are the free publicity generation. So how to write a press release, how to submit it, and then how to follow up from that publicity system. And that is purely coming from education that I have had and the success that we have had, and we'll show you the people and where they've appeared before. On the Sunday, so we do the first one on the first day, on the Friday, with the 2 recording hours. Then we do the next 4 on the Saturday with 4 recording hours. And then we do the last 2, which is the pre-launch campaign and your month's success, to wrap it all up on the Sunday. So there is 2 hours of speaking on the Friday with an educational segment, 4 educationals on the Saturday with 4 recording segments, and then 1 recording to wrap up on the Sunday, and 2 educationals. So that's everything is really structured and timely and executed amazingly. So Fiona's very excited. She has put in yippee. She's excited about Feb. And Jane's just commented, the training was so useful and it built so much momentum for me up to the book launch. Perfect. All right, so we're getting close to chatting to some people. Let's show you some of the fun stuff. I had to put some photos up here. There's our MasterChef Stuart. I bought him that hat while I was in Italy with my mum last year, so he often wears that at the evenings. We do have free flow of wine and champagne, and we have the dinners together where actually, you guys, in the impromptu sessions is when a lot of gold comes up. It's so because everyone's relaxed, and now just, you know, the conversations that come out are over and above everything, and the yummy food just stimulates that conversation. So that's some of the fun stuff. Our chilling out in front of our real open fireplace, and having some champagne there after we finished. We did wear some onesies at the weekend.
You wore some onesies.
Me and Faye here wore some onesies. So it really is like a little family that's hanging out for 48 hours. But it's so lovely. And then that's us doing one of the final candle exercises, which we will just keep hidden for the time being. We wrap up the Sunday with an amazing photo shoot. The husband of our publisher, Kev, he's a professional photographer, and they come at the weekend. So actually our publisher does spend 10 to 15 minutes with each of the authors, giving them, taking notes, getting to meet them personally. And also Kev then starts taking all the photos. So while Kev's taking all the photos for the book covers, professional, like headshots and all that sort of stuff, the publisher actually starts to talk to all the different people, and it really is an amazing.
Just a complete one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. Yeah, everything is done from start to finish. Now, I know we have about 20 minutes, and I do want to talk to some people because it's important. Now, one thing just want to say, so that weekend gets executed, and then what happens after? What happens after is the recordings get submitted to a transcriptionist who is eagerly cleared his calendar and waiting for the book to be submitted. Actually, Melanie, who's here on the left-hand side picture, submitted hers while she was there at the weekend on the Sunday, and she's already got the whole book back. So now Melanie's job is to clean up the manuscript. So it takes about an hour and a half to clean up per chapter. and then she'll be submitting it to Blaze. Within 8 to 12 weeks the most, she will have her book ready. So really post-weekend, you're looking at a minimum 3 to 6 months, I say, depending on each person when they're handling.
Melanie will be 3.
Melanie will be 3. Melanie will have her book by October, I reckon. So that's the post process. So as I said, 10 to 12 hours before, you've got the weekend, and then about 15 to 20 hours at the most afterwards.
Yep.
And you don't do them all in one hit. I say to people, you do 1 to 2 hours at the most, and then you're consistent over a period of time. Now, who do you reckon we should talk to first? Should we talk to someone who hasn't done the weekend but it's coming up? Or which order should we go in?
I'd go just who's just done it. I'd go Christine if she's on the call yet.
Christine, I'm not sure if she... Oh, yes, she's just come on the call. So perhaps let's talk to maybe first Christine, maybe then Andrea. Can you type in the chat box if you're okay to be taken off mute? I know I haven't asked you before tonight, but if you're not, maybe even Fiona or who else is here? Julie. They're the 3 people that are coming up with their weekends. Just any one of you, maybe we can ask you a couple of questions about what you're going through right now before you've even done it. But first of all, I will take Christine off. So Christine is our wonderful soon-to-be author of Destinations, Detours and Discoveries. That's her having a funky photo being taken at the weekend. And let's have a chat to her. Let's take her off. Hey, Christine, are you there? See if we can hear her. I don't know if she can hear me. She's in Tassie, maybe with the bad weather. Can you hear me, Christine? I'm not sure if we can't talk to her. We can check Andrea. Andrea's just said, not sure if my microphone's working tonight. I'll try to take you off and see what happens. All right, I might put Christine back on mute for a second. There's a little exclamation mark, but I can't hear her for some reason. And here she is. Are you there? Oh, hang on.
I am now.
Oh, good. Good.
I don't know what happened.
Do you miss me?
I do. I miss your cooking.
That's it. That's all I am to you.
No, you're not just an apron stew. It was your jokes and your YouTube clips.
Yeah.
Thank you, doll.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So let's have a chat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I do miss you because it was only a few days ago and it's still all fresh in our heads. Thank you so much for coming up. I've got a few questions. And guys, everyone who's on the call, please post up any questions for Christine while I go through my 3 that I have for her so she can unravel a bit of insight behind it for you. But if no one else has, I'll just ask these and then we can also have talk to Jane. So Christine, can you talk to me a little bit about what were your biggest fears and objections when you were deciding to do this, or the reason behind it? What came up for you?
Well, the biggest fears for me were around being able to take what was in my head and what I knew I wanted the book to be and actually putting that in to a logical sequence and making it make sense and flow and all those things. I had such fear around that, and also that it wouldn't have been possible. I just couldn't see that it would be possible to be able to do it in such a short space of time.
So it was mostly about the structure and how is this going to come out of my head and make sense.
Absolutely, because the thing that stopped me over the years was I just thought this is going to take so much time to sit here and actually get in front of my computer, motivate myself to write, motivate myself to type it in. So I was just really frightened that I wouldn't be able to take the thoughts and get it out in the short space of time, and also to have it come together and be what I could vision it, but I didn't know how I was going to get from seeing it in my head to making it happen.
And that makes you're so busy at what you do. You got so much going on with your business and everything else, so that doesn't.
So
And
so busy.
And as I said, I already spoke a little bit about you, that you told me on the way to the airport that you had spent 4 hours prepping, and how long you've been in what you've been doing. So how do you feel now that obviously it's just the weekend's just passed 4 days ago? Now that most of the system's been unraveled to you, you still got a little bit to go with the cleanup. What do you?
Yep. The chapters are ready to go. All I have to do is the smallest part, but I feel absolutely fantastic. I can't believe that, and I keep saying it to my friends and family, I cannot believe that we managed to get those 12 chapters completed in a weekend. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that I realised when I was listening to you at the event that you came to speak to in Hobart, that if I didn't make that decision and commit there and then I would have gone another year, 2 years, 10 years, and it would have still been this book in my mind, and I would have still been too busy to get to what I thought was going to be massive. We did a massive amount of work, but we did it in, your system is phenomenal, like the logical order, the unpacking, it's just bang, 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 and for busy people, which we all are, it was just like, it's just like, this is gold, this is awesome. I just go bang, 1 done, 2 done, 3 done, just unpack, then speak it, and overcome that fear of not being able to speak it. And once the flow started, because we're writing books about what we live, it just came out, and it was just perfect way to do it.
Awesome. And Lana on the call has just typed something up, so I'll read it for all of us. I enjoy writing and find I communicate better when I take the time to write. I wonder if anyone else relates to that and how they went speaking their first pass. I feel I would jumble the words. So do you want to answer that for her, like in terms of that, or I can answer it as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just have a go from my experience, and then Natasha, who has so much experience. But personally, I love the idea of writing, and I love to write.
Yes.
I love to do it as something to do. But when I put myself under the pressure of actually writing a book, I suffered what probably a lot of people do, which is writer's block, and it's like, well, this thing that I love to do because I love to do it, now I'm under the pressure to create something specific. That barrier, I put a barrier there. Speaking it, I read from notes, but then I put the notes down and it just flowed once I had those key words, which is what you get us to do, Natasha, is get us to prompt ideas with the words and a paragraph.
Yeah.
And then you just tap into it and the flow's there. It was beautiful.
Another thing I will say to Lana is that when you actually write a book by speaking it out, not only do you fast track the process and can do it, but you also end up making it very conversational, and your voice truly comes through. And if I read back on the book I wrote on the weight loss and vice versa, then the books that I've spoken out, it's so different. And I know, Christine, you read the whole Ultimate 48-Hour Author book before we had our prep session. Was that? How was that different from the one from others that you have read, perhaps?
I really enjoyed it because, and honestly, I usually start books like that and I don't get through them because they're too hard. And I wanted to read it before I spoke to you that day after the event. I wanted to have an idea, and I thought, I'll just skim across the top. I had no intention of reading the whole thing, but it was like we were talking. It was like a dialogue without me speaking, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It was easy, so easy to read because it was just like you talking to me, and that's a great way to learn, and you don't get bored with it. So,
and a lot of people, like, usually will pay more attention to layman terms than get bogged down with really technical big words, which is where I think people get drained and it becomes really taxing on their mind. So what was the final question I have, because I know I'm mindful of the time because we want to speak to a couple of others. The final question, what was your key reason why you moved ahead with the Ultimate 48-Hour Author Weekend? Because you'd made a decision and 7 days out of the weekend and bang, we were doing it.
Because I wanted to make it happen, and I knew from what I'd already done, my past behaviours, I wanted to make it happen, but I didn't commit to the process, and I knew that I needed to be out of my own space to change my surroundings to make it happen and be in an environment where that was my focus. And it's very hard for me to focus if I'm at home, even though I work from home. I'll easily be distracted and procrastinate. This taking me away for that express purpose of doing this, start here, finish here, done, made so much sense to me. It was a wonderful investment of my time, and the results were, I just can't speak highly enough of the results from the weekend. And I would not hesitate to do it again. That would be the way I would do it in the future. Even now that I know the formula, I would do it that way again. I would come away.
Interesting that you say that. We've had 3 of our authors who've been through it again and saying, we want to come back and do our second book and get Stuart to cook for us again. So,
well, we're very much creatures of habit, aren't we? I mean, and we get into bad habits that stop ourselves from getting done what we need to get done. And for me, this was out of my comfort zone, and it was for a reason. And I'm busy. I don't want to waste my time. So I just wanted to do it and be done. And it was just awesome. Really, really happy.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. I am mindful of everyone's time so we can speak to Jane as well. Thank you. We'll talk very soon.
And congratulations, Jane. Yay.
It's wonderful. I can't wait. It's going to be in the post tomorrow. I'll put you back.
Nice speaking to you again.
Okay.
Bye.
I miss you guys. Thanks for everything.
You're welcome. All right, so we've got Christine back on mute. We'll talk to Jane. So let's put Jane's picture up. Here she is earlier in the week getting her book. Jane, I've just taken you off mute. Can you hear me?
Hi, Nat. Hi, Stuart. How are you?
Hello, Janie. How are you?
Yeah, good. Very excited. I'm still not grounded yet.
Well, you should be.
So you got your book. What was it, Monday or Tuesday this week?
Yeah, it was Monday. I came home and I just still can't describe the feeling. It's just one of the best feelings. It's just like skydiving. You know, you achieve something so big, and it is about the process of overcoming your own fear.
Yeah.
And for me, it's such an accomplishment to get to this point. So yeah.
So if anyone on the call does have questions for Jane, I will go through my top 3, as I said, that I think are important to cover off, because they're picked for a specific reason for you guys to really understand where a lot of the blocks actually sit for people around this. So Jane, before you were an author, talk to me a little bit about, and before you, I guess, even took the leap, what was the negative talk that was going inside your mind before you actually made the decision?
My chatterbox was so loud for many, many years, and even before the weekend, it was the fact that, you know, I came to Australia when I was 14, didn't speak any English, so I thought, how can I be an author? I can't speak English very well. I know I do now, but the chatterbox kept going, saying that, you know, I can't write. English is not my first language. You know, what do I know about? How can I write something that people would want to read?
Yes.
And it went for many, many years. And I think, you know, at the weekend, I really smashed those limiting beliefs for good. I just feel like now I've become an author, and I realize those are just limiting beliefs we have of ourselves. And the great thing that comes to the weekend is that you get together with so many like-minded people who will champion you.
Yes.
So you can be the best of you at the weekend and to deliver your message. And just believe in that power that's already within us, and just to share what we know and knowledge with the hope that with come the book, we can inspire many, many others. So yeah, that's been a journey for me.
And how do you feel now that it's actually now here?
Excited, grounded. I don't know, just very excited. I don't even know how to describe the feelings. I feel I'm on cloud 9.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the conversation with people, it's been just amazing. They've realised that in order for me to come to this point, there has been a lot of, you know, it's a lot of process of overcoming fear, and then really allow myself to be able to step outside the box and say to people that, hey, I'm willing to stand out, I'm willing to be exposed, and here's my journey. The conversations with people, it's been amazing. It just opened up so many opportunities for me.
Tell me a little bit more about that. How is it impacting your life business? I know you only got it on Tuesday, and you're going to see a lot more happen over the next few months. But just from the, I guess, from the time you've had it, what sort of stuff has happened?
Even though I came back from the weekend, met a lady, and I was saying to her that I wrote the book and she invited me to speak on radio. So that has been fantastic. And then even this week, I got to meet with some people that that align with what I do.
Yes.
So she sells like adult toys, so which align with relationship, and we just had the best conversations. I gave her a copy of my book sign, and then we're talking about joint ventures already moving forward. She invites me to come to, do an expo with her. Like, just already the opportunity's just been amazing. And she said, oh, she would love to promote my book on her database, and just opportunities is coming my way already, and it's just phenomenal.
And Joan, why I see that happening as well, because for you're a great young age to be doing this, and a lot of other people that are in a similar niche like you, they're a lot older, and so you're going to have a lot of these opportunities come up because you're a young, attractive girl. And sorry, I'm not just saying that for that reason, but I want to prove the point is it's not an age thing. You all can share this message at your age, whereas that could have been a belief. You don't have the experience, you're not this.
You're too young.
But I actually think you got more opportunities because you're going to stand out in this niche. That's why I just love that you did this, and it's so cool.
Well, that's something that Jane and I have also been working for the last 12 months one-on-one, and that was one of your things, Jane, that you were worried about your age, but you still, felt that fear around it and did it anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Because of her stories are just so amazing, and it's just where it is now. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think age, I used to think that, I'm only 27, what do I know? But I believe that each of us have a story that we need to share with the world. And it's so important with the Author Weekend. I love it so much because when we get together, we get to share our story as well.
Yes.
And it's a journey, and everyone at the weekend now become great friends, and we keep in contact, and we continue to champion each other moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think it is about the willingness to share the story, to embrace the vulnerability, and then inspire others to step into that space with you. So I think it's just been fantastic. And thank you guys for making this happen. For me personally, it's a dream come true. Yeah. I never thought I could write a book. And thank you so much for the Author Weekend, because the accountability part has been, for me, it's just been $1 million worth. Because without that, I wouldn't be able to write the book.
This is why
hearing stuff like that. This is why we do it.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it always reminds us, because that's the reward we get by seeing you succeed. And there's been a few mentions and comments coming through. Congratulations from Lana, and well done, Jane. Amazing achievement from Christine, and just been a few congratulations to you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Jane. I know I'm mindful, guys. We might run over 5 or so minutes. I trust that it's okay. Everyone's firmly on the call. I can see very engaged with all of this. If you do have any more questions, just post them up for Jane. But let's maybe cross across. Maybe Andrea is on the call. I can take her off if she's got a microphone. We'll test it out. She said that it would be okay. Have a good night, Jane. I can't wait for your book launch. By the way, guys, Jane is having her book launch on the 14th of August. Where exactly, Jane?
It's on Bridge Road in Richmond.
Specifically?
Opposite Office Works. Yeah, it's opposite Office Works on Bridge Road.
Opposite Office Works in Richmond on Bridge Road. Okay, I'm going to be there on the 14th. So if any of you in Melbourne, you can come and join us for a drink and a nibble and a celebration for her, and then we'll have the combined book launch in October as well.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be cool. All right, gorgeous. I'll talk to you soon. I'll put you back on mute. All right. And let's see if we can get Andrea off for a quick chat. Andrea, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're coming through perfect. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. So, Andrea, just to tell everyone who you are, Andrea, you guys signed up. She's coming up to the October weekend, and I actually prepped Andrea before the July weekend, and she has an amazing story to share. do you want to just, I guess, give us a quick insight? How are you feeling now? And I guess, what are your reasons to have taken this leap? And you really don't know what's going to happen, but as you see, there's a lot of amazing things from the other girls. I've lost.
Yeah, sure. Where I'm at the moment is working through my chapters.
Yes.
And my unpacking of my chapters. So that's our story. But I had no idea that I could link my business offerings to that. And that was the aha moment that I had when I came to that half day with you, Nat and Stu.
Yeah.
So I think realising that we have a story to tell as a family,
yes,
and thinking it was going to be a novel, but in fact now realising that it can be our journey,
yeah,
and link back to my business. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, wonderful, and yeah, and that's and we're going to leverage that. And I know we just smashed out that prep session together, and I was, and are you finding it's okay, like in terms of the workload and what it is, and how are you focusing on it? I'm just curious.
What I've done is I've got a calendar going forward to October that I'm now sort of working backwards from, so that I know that I've covered everything.
Yes.
I think I don't want to overthink it as well, in that I think I need to do the prep, but I don't need to stress about that and make it more than it needs to be, if that makes sense.
Yes,
I just
correct. Because you can go over it and over it so many times if the more time you have, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of time because I'm working almost full time and doing a business and raising a family and supporting a husband in business. So I guess for me that was my biggest hang up about committing to doing this, as much as I'd wanted to do it for maybe 5 or 6 years now.
Yes.
Thinking, do I have the time?
Yes.
And having read most of your book and spending that time with you, Nat, I realised I can break this down and I can get it done, and then to be able to speak it over the whole weekend, just so excited about that. So,
are you getting excited after seeing the pictures and the videos from July?
Yes.
You guys have so much. Yeah, I always get excited as we lead into the next one, because you don't know what you don't know, and then it slowly gets unraveled, and it's the butterflies. And I always say to people, look, say you're excited, don't say you're nervous or sick or whatever it is. Just put that in your mind and know that everything will turn out, and the right people will be with you at the weekend. And it's amazing how the personalities fit and click wonderfully, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big point. Every weekend
has a personality.
It does, for sure.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm mindful of time because finish of webinar time has ended, but everyone is sticking around, I can see, and I want to wrap up the call in the next 5 minutes to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming up impromptu. I didn't ask you beforehand, which I did for Jane, but I saw so many of you here, so keen to find out what's going to happen. All right, I'm putting you back on mute. All right, so that's so cool. Wonderful, ladies. I'm so glad we actually got all of the 3 stages,
exactly,
isn't
1, 2,
it?
and 3, yeah.
Actually, if we only had someone from October who's had it for 3 or 4 months, but we did really great. Christine just made a comment while we were talking to Andrea. Hi, Andrea, that's a great point with the unpack. There's no need to overthink. If it's your story, you'll find it will flow beautifully once you break the ice and get started. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks for adding that on, Christine. And Fiona says, thanks so much. Love and hugs to all. Excellent. So a couple of other things we want to show you. This is just a picture of some of the books that we have so far published. I actually don't have enough room to add more of the covers, but there's more and more of this. I think I'll just have to make
second page.
Yeah, actually, good idea. Good idea. Smart thinking, Stuart. And what's it called? This is the publicity that some of our authors have had. So we've got Debbie across the top. She's got a book on bullying, Beyond the Schoolyard. There's little Janie in her radio interview. We have Valentina, also John over in Ireland. He did an Irish tour of his book, John Sharkey. And we have Despina here, Adventures of a Balloon Girl, who just yesterday sent me this text that her 750 copies of her book will be distributed around 300 retailers as well as Victorian Target stores, which is an amazing win for Desi. And we've got Justin Fankhauser, who is my most unlikely author, The Confessions of a Locksmith. And he was on Sunrise, and he's been on stacks of radio and things like that. But there's some of our clients.
He's on a first-name basis with half the media in Melbourne now.
Exactly. And Lana's actually just said, I love that Andrea said, what Andrea said about linking her story to her business. Yeah, totally, Lana. That's how most of them do it. Thanks, Christine. Very encouraging from Andrea. I just wanted to make sure I read out those comments because you guys are talking to each other, but you can't see the comments, and I can. Next is this is some of the publicity that we have had as a business. So we've been in Koshi's Business Builders, The Age, and all of the other different radio stations for myself. So the one was from the authors and one was from us. So what we teach in terms of the templates does work, and as long as you execute it. Jane also says, I think it's about having fun at the weekend as well. Absolutely, it's about having fun. That is a prerequisite, and that is one of my highest values. So if you guys don't walk away having had fun and an experience, you will, I wouldn't be happy. So finally, as we wrap up the call, this is what it's all about, holding your first book for the first time.
They all look so unhappy.
They're so unhappy, aren't they? The people here in the middle picture are our October weekend people that launched in March this year. So they're the ones that, there's Despina, who's been, who's going to go, her book's going to go into all these retailers and Target stores, John Sharkey, Anthony, Sonia, Russell, all of those people. So it's about holding your first book and doing amazing things with it. So this is the opportunity. The opportunity is that our October and February can still have some spots left. There's 2 in October and 4 in Feb. And what we always have to and must do is qualify people for them. Why is this the case? Because we want 100% success. So for those people who we believe can execute this and get to their published book, I want to make sure that you do. So I want to clarify your $1 million message to make sure how you're going to leverage your book. So I want to speak to you and make sure that you can do this in 48 hours. Identify if you and I are a match, and certainly Stuart and myself do this together, and then work out your strategy and the logistics of the process. So we would discuss that because there's no time right now to actually do all of that. It needs to be done on a one-on-one basis. This is not a light program. This is something that takes time to execute, and it takes commitment on both parts, on our part as well as on your part. And I believe the biggest commitment you can make is the one you make for yourself.
For sure.
So the qualifying chats can occur at the times that I've specified. So I've given you a mobile number. That's mine, and Stuart's got his own, but we'll take the bookings through mine. Yes, the 0412085160. I would need you to text me your name and then the time that you want. Tonight we're staying up and we're going to take 2 qualifying chats, so 1 each. Me and Stuart will do 1 each at 9:30, which is only in about 7 minutes. 1 at 10 o'clock and 1 at 10:30. They normally take half an hour. You can ask any questions that you might seek clarification around. We can work out what is your book going to be about and discuss that. And then there is tomorrow sometimes at 11:30, 1:30 and 2 p.m. So you got to text the time you want and your name to my mobile number, and then we will text back to confirm and ring you at that time that you have requested. So you have to have a qualifying chat if you're interested in doing this particular program. Alternatively, you guys are welcome to attend one of our half-day events if you really want to get into more content around this. And my next half-day event in Melbourne is on the 16th of August at the Publishers Studio. So it's from 9 till 1. And I can, if you text me about the event, I can send you a link where to register. And I'm going to Sydney again on the 23rd. So there's 2 Saturdays coming up where I do 2 half-day events around this if you really want to meet personally. But for a lot of you, I do know that from the call, some of you I don't know. These are the times and the spots that we have available to make sure that the few people that are left over to come into October and February are the ones that we...
Yeah, well, it also get a chance to happen before you go on the tour as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. On the tour, they'll be full. On the tour, that's it. We'll start filling May next year because it's February, then May next year. We've already got a couple of people into the mid and late next year as well already signed up. Maria, thank you very much for being on the call. Nice to see you today, and you will be in touch soon. Great to see that. And Christine says, so inspiring. Is it possible to turn an ebook into an actual book? Yes, it is. And I can definitely discuss that. I have helped a few people do exactly that, Christine. So, yes, absolutely. So that's it. Those are the times. So I hope you've taken them down while I've been finishing up this call. I want to let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Some of you, I will speak to you very soon. I can see a couple of messages that have come through already. And then we'll see what your next steps are. So have a wonderful evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and talk soon. And I can't wait to see who the next authors are. Bye, guys.